All right, we back. What's up, y'all? If this is your second time, if this is your first time being here, welcome to the Job Well Done series for March. Job Well Done is a series I created to talk to dope people who have huge platforms, who are doing amazing things, who have brilliant thoughts that I think the world should hear. I enjoy having legitimate conversations with people. It's not something I get to see often, but oh, here you go, right here. Follow him.
Yo,
Joining up right now.
son, I gotta
DEVALE.
apologize to you and everybody. You see, I'm still at basketball practice. Jackson practice ran late, and I'm like, damn, I didn't even realize it was 7 o'clock. So my fault, boy.
Nah, you good, dog. Somebody in the comments said, man, Cairo got that boy hemmed up. Hey, thanks for joining, man. A lot of people starting to pour into the room. I know a lot of these are your followers. I introduced myself. My name is Kier Gaines. I'm a husband. I'm a father. I'm a content creator, and I'm a licensed therapist from Washington, D.C. Just click my page, hit follow. I'm sure you'll enjoy the content. DEVALE, can you please introduce? I know everybody know you, man, but can you please be so
What's
kind
up,
as to
y'all? My name
introduce
is
yourself to the
DEVALE,
folks?
retired actor, father first, no, husband first, father, man of God, and all around
Oh,
good guy, trying to be a great guy. That's all I got for you, man.
I love that. Hold on. You said husband first and then
Yes,
father.
husband first, then father.
What made you say that?
Because this is something me and Kadeen talk about a lot. Is I have to be present for her first. Like she carried all four of my boys and got them here safely. I have to honor her at all times first, and I have to take care of her so she can be a better mom to take care of the boys. So she always has to come first. Like that's whenever I introduce myself to people, I always say I'm a husband first and then a father because without Kadeen, there would be no boys. Without Kadeen, I wouldn't be a father. So that's my baby. I love her with all my heart. So I gotta always honor her first.
Nah, I dig that, man. It's I always say I got into this relationship, and when I got into the relationship, only one of these people in this relationship I actually knew. I bought the wife.
Right.
I knew what I was getting into. I said, "Oh, I know this fully formed being. Okay, I'm gonna get with that." And then we had these kids,
Yeah.
these new people that joined the team. I didn't know their personality.
Right.
I
They
ain't
just
signed that
came out of
agreement.
nowhere. Like, dang, if I'd have knew who you was before you got here, I might have just passed on you. God
I might have kept that receipt. We're kidding. We love our children. Hey, I always said that when I
damn.
hopped in front of you, it was a few questions that I knew I want to ask you, man. Especially, I was telling the audience how I was just
Yes,
featured
sir.
on the Dead
Yes,
Ass
sir.
podcast, and we got amazing episode. Can't wait for everybody to hear that. But we started talking about manhood and masculinity. I
No,
don't
we
think
didn't.
we meant to do that, but we started we
Mm-hmm.
started unlocking some things, and I was like, man, we need to
Absolutely.
continue this conversation on. I know you a talking dude, I'm a talking dude, so I had to
Okay.
write down these 4 points to make sure
Okay.
that we ain't straight too far. All right, so man, one thing we talked about, and it's kind of sitting in my head a little bit, is the fact that men kind of gravitate towards us because of
Right.
our social media platforms sometimes. And I know when I'm out in the streets, there are a lot of men that'll come and, it's like a big secret. They come and wait till it's just us and they start whispering about the
Yeah.
things that they're
Yeah.
struggling with in their lives. And I don't know whether they're scared to talk about it or whether they're just not confident in their ability to articulate it. But I know what I'm being told. I don't know what other men are hearing. When men come up and talk to you and start talking about what they're struggling with, what
So
are you
this
hearing?
is funny because I actually left the gym. A dude was talking to me about this very thing. He was like, "Hey, man, I see you in here, with your son all the time." And I was like, "Yeah." And he was just like, "I started following you on social media. I knew who you was, but I didn't know you was on social media." But then he got introduced to me through Tyler Perry's Sistas, of course. Then started following me on social media and was like, "Oh,
Of
this
course.
he's like a real guy. Like he got kids and he's not Zach. He's the different person." So I was like, "Yeah." He said, "Can I ask you a question?" I said, "What's up?" He said, "My wife just had a baby." And I was like, "Oh, congratulations." He said, "Yeah, but I want my wife back." And he was like, how do you deal with the fact that, your wife just had a baby and am I wrong for feel, or I feel guilty that I want her back? I don't want the pregnant her. I don't want her the mom. I want her back. And he was just like, you know, I didn't know who to talk to about it, but I see you talk about it all the time. And I laughed because I was like, dude, I'm actually gonna get on the phone with a dude. You know, I mentioned you, I said, Kier, because we talking about masculinity. A large part of masculinity for men is to hide their feelings all the time and to have this facade like everything's always
Absolutely.
fine. I don't ever need my wife. My wife is at my disposal when, you know, when she's ready for me, but I'm strong enough to handle everything on my own. That's a damn lie, bro. I need my wife, and I'm unapologetic about the fact that I need my
Absolutely.
wife. That's my best friend, like my life partner. I need her. Like I need her. And we talked about it for like 30 minutes, man, and his eyes got watery because for the first time he felt like he wasn't being guilted for feeling that way. And he's like, oh, so it's not just me. And I was like, nah, bro, it ain't just you. It's a lot of us.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's crazy that he
Mm-hmm.
felt like it's just him. That just goes to show you that a lot of dudes aren't talking about it. I get something similar. It's a lot of husbands are leaning in. They're trying to break the ice with me first, just to, hey man, what's good? Hey, you seen the game? Yeah, and as soon as it's comfortable enough, he'll lean in a little bit, like, hey man, like I'm struggling a little bit. I don't know how to really tell my wife that like things are changing and I kind of want things to be
Hey,
the way they used to. And you know, you
hey,
you ask and he's like, well, what do you mean? And it's within the same vein. It's man, we got married and we have these children. The relationship that we're in isn't the relationship that we entered,
yeah.
which is to be expected. You know what I'm saying? When you're adding people to your relationship, it's going to change. But I mean, the dude broke it down. He was like, man, I felt like I lost her when I proposed because all her friends were excited about her getting married, and she kind of
Yeah.
disappeared on me a little
Mm-hmm.
bit. I didn't have it to myself. He said I lost her
Mm-hmm.
when she was wedding planning because
Mm-hmm.
she was obsessed with it, and it was done. I lost her when she
Mm-hmm.
got pregnant because she had to
Uh-huh.
figure out her new body, and I feel like I'm losing her again. Like, and he was right. You lose your girl
Absolutely.
several times in the process, and I don't, I don't know if every man knows how to advocate for
See, that's
himself.
okay. So this is what's funny. No, no,
You
I'm
feel me?
making
Am I
sense
making
because
sense?
I, Kadena and I don't know if she's on right now. She's probably taking a nap because she was up with the boys all night last night. But Kadena and I got into an argument today, a full-fledged screaming match argument, right? On this very topic. We went to Miami last week and she was like, I'm gonna bring all the kids, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, no, don't bring the baby. Let the baby go with your mom and your dad. And she was like, why? I was like, well, for three reasons. The first reason is because you need a good night's rest, right? If the baby comes, when the baby wakes
Right.
up at 4 a.m, you're gonna be the one up. Let the baby go with your grandma, with your mother. So let him be with his grandmother so you can get some time. Number two, the kids need their mom, and they need their mom outside of hold on, let me deal with this baby breastfeeding real quick. Number three, I need my wife.
Yeah, the
So I was
breastfeeding.
like, you need what's up, buddy? Oh,
Yeah.
you finished? Go ahead, get your stuff. I'm not going nowhere. See, this is Jackson right there. I can't even do a live without a kid rolling up on me all the
Full-time
time.
fatherhood,
But
baby.
so she was like, all right, I'm gonna send the kids to my mother. Decided that she felt guilty leaving one of her own because she's a dope mom, and she was like, nah, I'm gonna bring the baby into
Of
Miami.
course.
But then she invited her best friend Christina to come help with the baby. The baby ended up getting sick before we left. She said, you know what? I'm going to leave the baby with my mother, but I'm going to keep Christina coming because I already invited her. So now we get to Miami and her friend's there. So now, so now I don't
Tricycle,
got my
third
wife.
wheel.
And now I don't get my wife. We get back home.
Yeah.
When we get back home, I was like, chill. I'm like, you know what? Your friend was here. She was coming to help us. So I'm going to just, I'm going to just let it rock. She said, DeVal, I promise you, I made a mistake. I should have never did that. But when we get back home, since the baby's with my mother in New York, I'm going to take care of you. Our first night home, she had work to do because she's still a working woman. She's up doing stuff with writing a book. She's writing all of her stuff and details for the book till 12:30 at night. I get pissed. I get mad. I'm like, yo, this was supposed to be my time. The baby ain't here. The kids are asleep. We went to Miami. I let you do what you want to do in Miami. We come back home and you forgetting about me once again. I'm tired of being on the back burner. So I'm not communicating properly. You know how we as men do. Sometimes we get emotional. You know, some of my quote unquote, I
You
miss
missed
the
the
bus.
bus
I fucked up.
sometimes.
You know what I'm saying? I'm screaming, I'm hollering,
Yeah, yeah,
and she's
it
mad.
happens.
So now she's mad. She's screaming back at me. We argue into the night until today. Finally, today, I decided I'm gonna advocate for myself the right way. I said, baby, I'm not doing this no more. She's like, what you mean? I said, you keep letting life happen to you as opposed to you attacking life. When things happen, you can constantly put it on the back burner, and then finally, when nothing else, there's no other opportunity, then you say, oh, I'll do it, but at our detriment. It's always my husband will understand. I'm tired of being on the back burner. I'm over it. And then I looked in her eyes and I was like, she's listening to me. But I said I had to say it. I couldn't be a tough guy and act like everything was fine. I had to sit my wife down and tell her, like, yo, I'm tired of being on the back burner. And she was like,
how long did it take you to feel comfortable to do that, though? Because that's not an overnight thing. Is that something you've been working on for years? Or
so if
how
I'm
did you
being
get
fair,
there?
it took a long time and it wasn't Kadeen's fault. It was my masculinity saying, I have to be a provider and a protector, and everything my wife goes through, I just have to deal with it as a man. Like I shouldn't be advocating for myself because I was afraid that I never wanted my wife to feel inadequate. You know what I'm saying? I never wanted her to feel like she was less than a perfect wife. So I said, fine, I'll deal with it on my own. I don't even want her to know, but the shit was building up in me, Kier, like, yo, and to the point where
Of
I broke,
course,
and
of
then when I broke,
course.
I didn't communicate it properly, and now I'm attacking her. And we do a podcast where I talk about how to communicate properly, but just yesterday I attacked my wife, which means it's not a process that just goes away once you figure it
Yeah.
out. It's work that you constantly have to do. So I would say it took me feeling like I had no other option before I decided to communicate that, because I was broke. I felt like I was broken,
Man,
but I was like, I just want my best friend back. Like, I'm tired of this shit. And that's what it got. Like, man, we've been together, shit, 20 years, Kier. 20. We've been together since we were
20?
20. We've been
Like
together since we
20?
were 18 years old. So I always say the first
Oh,
10
wow,
years don't
bro.
really matter because those are like child years. You know, 18 to 28, I'm learning. I'm a young adult. I'm trying to figure this out. But now in my 30s, I'm like, I have to be a little bit more aware of how I say things and directly what I say to my wife. And I said it to her, and the response wasn't what I expected. I thought she was going to just, deflect, make excuses, but she didn't. She owned it. She
Yeah,
owned it, bro. Yeah.
that's huge. That's a big piece of partnership is when someone can hold the piece of
Yeah.
the puzzle that's their fault. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what? This is my bad. And it's even better
Yeah.
when both people can do that. I want to similar but not with us. It's more so because I kind of do the same thing, especially with the new baby. There's a lot of, hey, you look like you're doing a lot. Let me take
Mm-hmm.
something off. And my wife is a very take charge person. It's weird too.
Mm-hmm.
The marriages are so different, and just the nuance of it is different, but it's all kind of the same. And sometimes she'll take on
Mm-hmm.
more. She's a tough girl. She'll take on more than she can handle. And then I'm like, hey, let me help you with something. And then she's the one that'll get upset with me. Was like, hey, you asking to help with all of this. I just need you to get
let
your
me
clothes
cut
up
you off
off
because I got to ask
the
you a
bed.
question, bro. I saw the video you posted about non-birthing
Yeah,
parents and what non-birthing parents. But here's my question.
Yeah.
What if you're a non-birthing parent and you're constantly trying to help, right? And your partner accepts the help, but now you need help and you expect her to reciprocate out without you asking. Because remember, everything you was talking about was being able to do that without her asking. Men need the same thing too. So what do you do when you're not getting that in return?
So I think the first
Appreciate
step
that,
in
boss.
what you do, that's a
Appreciate
great
it.
question, by the way. Hey, good
That's
job,
a
man.
dude just said appreciate what I do. That's what I'm saying. A lot of dudes, they appreciate this, bro. Like they appreciate this, bro.
Same. Yeah. They walk up to you in the street and they actually look like something is missing. and you kind of speak on things that they might not have the ability to. To answer your question, I think the first thing you got to do is prepare what you have to say in a way that informs her without making her feel blamed. So what I always recommend to people, and I try to do this in my relationship, is use I statements. Instead of saying you're not supporting me right now. I'm doing all these things. I need this too. I need you to do these things for me. You come from a different perspective. It's like, hey, when I don't spend time with
Hell
you, it
yeah.
makes me feel bad. When I don't spend time with you, it makes me lonely, and I love you and I miss you, to the point of what you were saying earlier. But it's different when you focus on what you're feeling. You take the blame from the other person out of the equation, and then they don't get defensive, and then they can hear what you're saying the way that you mean for it to be conveyed, and not just what they think what you're saying says about them. Because if I'm saying, hey, you need to spend more time with me, you need to do these things, I guarantee you my wife isn't going to hear Kier is lonely, Kier needs his wife. She's going to hear, I'm not a good enough wife, I'm not doing enough, he doesn't appreciate what I'm already doing.
Let me tell you verbatim, right? I told Kay, I said, listen, I need you. I need my wife. Not in a sexual way, not in any other way other than I need that companionship. What she heard literally was, she's not good enough at being a wife. I'm a terrible wife. I said, Kay, I never said you a terrible wife. I said, I empower you 99% of the time. I support you. You know, I do. But how come every time I express myself, you take it as I'm saying you're terrible all the time? Like, so it's not just my wife who does that, bro.
No,
Bro.
Not only is it not just your wife, I don't think that's a thing that's specific to women. I think everyone does it in some way, but as people, we just kind of got this thing sometimes where we expect folks to know what's going on inside of our heads without us actually clearly communicating.
I feel you, but I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. And I'm gonna use this opportunity to be vulnerable, because I just came off of this argument. The shit is exhausting, bro. Always feeling like I have to find the exact words all the time. But then, you know, being married, it's like I spend so much time empathizing, especially because my wife has had four children. Like, she's been pregnant for 10 years, at least on average every other year. So I can't even imagine what that's like for a woman. But it gets exhausting to always empathize, but then always pushing my feelings aside. You know what I'm saying? Like, that hurts, bro. Like today, dealing with Kay, bro, when I tell you I was like hurt, I was like, Kay, I can't say it any other way other than I say, I just need you. I want you. I want my wife. I want to sit down. We had an argument yesterday because I'm like, you chose to do your book stuff while I was working out. You could have came and worked out with me. Or you could have came and did your book stuff in the room with me, but you made a choice to do that by yourself. And I was like, that hurts, because I'm constantly making choices to try to be the best husband I can be. And I just want you to do the same. And then she said to me, well, how come you didn't say nothing? And I told her, well, because when I say something, you take it on yourself as I'm saying you're the worst wife ever. And I don't want you to feel that way. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to be honest, bro, that shit be exhausting, son. Like, because then I'm dealing with, do I say something or do I not say something? Because if I say something, then you feel inadequate. But if I don't say something, then you don't know what's happening. You know what I'm saying?
I think you're speaking to the difficulty of the balance of marriage. It's because it's not always any particular thing. Like, it's, you have two people who have two different ideas of one situation. There's no way that's not going to clash together in a way where someone's going to feel defensive, someone's going to feel attacked, and someone's going to feel like they're last on the list. And I'm sure, do you find that when you all have these, is it one-sided? Does she ever kick the same thing to you? Because I know you're busy with the acting. I know you're busy doing all the different programs, all the great stuff that you do out in the community. Is there any inverse to that conversation?
Full transparency, I always put my family first. Like if you ask Kay if she was on this live, she would tell you, like, nah, when Kay says she needs something or she wants something, I'm dropping everything. Because in our relationship, she knows that our relationship, our life, everything don't work without her. So if she's not in a good place mentally or emotionally, then none of us are in a good place. So I always take care of that first. And I think part of that is why I get so upset, because I'm like, if I'm always taking care of you and you're taking care of yourself and the kids, who's taking care of me? You know what I'm saying? And then part of my masculinity was I'm supposed to deal with this on my own because I'm a man. You know what I'm saying? I ain't supposed to have these emotions. I tough it out.
Yeah, you tough
Man,
it
you
out.
can't tough that shit out no more. Like yes, and
Nah,
that's
because
what
you
happened
explode.
yesterday. And I was wrong for that. Like I can admit that. I was wrong for that. But the shit just get exhausting. And we hashed it out, we talked it out, we argued and screamed, and then we hugged it out, and then we fucked it out, and then we, you know what I'm saying? Like it happened. It gets back to what it is, you know?
That's what I was about to ask. That's what I was about to ask you, because the way marriage is set up in social media, I don't think people really understand the inner workings. And there are going to be people who are listening to this who will see your tone and who will see your passion, and they may misinterpret how this whole thing goes down, because you don't be married for 20 years and have this situation be 100 feet tall. This is something that really hurts you in a moment. But clearly, you all have traversed this type of thing before. Whenever you have these disagreements and y'all are on two different sides of things, what's the binding piece? How do y'all find middle ground
on everything,
to resolve that?
She and I look at each other, and I say, "You want to be here?" She says, "Yes," and I tell her, "I want to be here." So we like, "What's the plan?" We literally had this conversation earlier this afternoon. We was arguing, and got tired of arguing. I went to another room. I came back. She was crying. Crying, and I picked her up. I said, yo, we not doing this. I'm like, we're not doing this no more. What's the plan? What's the plan? Because we have one goal. She and I want to create the greatest life that we can for ourselves and for our boys. So once we get to that point where we've already like let all the things out we want to say and be transparent, now it's what's the plan moving forward? Because I know I'm not going nowhere. And I know she not going nowhere. So if we not going nowhere, what's the plan? And then every time we look at each other, we start hugging, we smile, we kiss, and then we figure out like what are we gonna do next? And I thing that binds us together is our want and need for each other to be great and have our dreams like come into fruition. Like I'm Kadeen's biggest fan. She's my biggest fan. So that's what it comes down to. We want to do life together.
That's brilliant. I love that. I love the fact that the binding piece is something that is reversible on both sides, and it decenters you. You're not the middle of that. It's, I want the best for you. Noemi always says this thing like, I love you for your benefit, not for my benefit.
Yes.
She always says she loves me for my benefit. That's brilliant, man. I ain't been married 20 years. I counsel a lot of couples, and a lot of people, it's hard for them to get by this, because even though you all have been together for a long time, you still have two different communication styles, two different ways of going about things, two different triggers. I'm going to move this conversation forward. How much more time I got you for?
No. I'm good. I got at least another 15. I'm good.
All right, back. So I got another question for you, man. You said something. I caught a clip one time when you were talking about, it's within the realm of sexuality. You said that sometimes the only time that men feel good about themselves is when they're having sex. I don't know if you will remember that, but you said it one time. There's some men, that's the only time when they feel good about themselves. And I actually went to a breakout session at a symposium when they were talking about gratification. How do men feel gratified outside of sex? And a lot of times when I'm in the streets, there are dudes that come and talk and kind of talk around the issue of self-confidence or self-image, where it comes from, because it's one thing to be confident and be comfortable in your own skin and know your faults and be good with where you are with them. But it's another thing to have bravado and pretend that you're something that you maybe you're not. And maybe that comes across off the people. What do you do to make sure that you keep your self-confidence intact?
So here's the thing. I remember having that conversation, and what it sparked from was being a young man in a place where you're constantly, especially a young black man, you're constantly looking for affirmation from people around you that you're doing a good job. And I remember being in my 20s. This is after I got cut by the NFL, and I wasn't making money. People used to be like, "Oh, that used to be DEVALE," because I'm no longer an athlete. And the only way I felt
Mm.
confident is when I was having sex, because I was making someone else feel good. So I knew I was doing something good because I was making somebody else feel good. And I notice a lot of young men that I speak to, when they're not where they're at financially, or they're not where they want to be career-wise, they
Mm-hmm.
resort to their dick. You know what I'm saying? It's like, well, I know I can use this to feel more like
Mm-hmm.
a man. And when you get married, you realize that your confidence can't be defined by your sexual appetite or what you can do to please a woman. It just can't, because now I got one woman that I'm satisfying
Nah.
all the time. You know what I'm saying? And Kadeen is her appetite is not as high as mine. So there's days where I'm ready, I want to get in the mood, and she's just like, baby, I'm tired, I'm not in the mood. If I let my confidence be defined by how my wife wants to be sexually, I'll always be in poor confidence. You understand what I'm saying? So I had to find my peace within myself and say, what defines me? You know what I'm saying? And then I also realized that there is no one thing that defines me. It ain't acting, it ain't money, it ain't my house, it ain't being a father. There's so many things that define me, and I have to pour into all of those
Mm-hmm.
things at all times, because just like streams of revenue, at one point, one revenue stream may be high where the other four may be down. But if that, so make sure I get back out of it so I just constantly look to build myself up and work on being the best version of myself every single day in all aspects, not just one.
Damn, that's a good point. Somebody told me the other day, like, man, you could tell you're in competition with yourself all the time. I'm not in competition with myself.
Right.
It's the same person. Like, it's the same person in a different period of time. I can't be in competition with myself. But the reason that resonated with me is because in my 20s, man, I really defined myself. I was chasing women hard. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about chasing, but I was
Mm-hmm.
definitely having a great time. And I
Mm-hmm.
defined myself by that. I had to realize I was a dude in high school who was cool. You know what I'm saying? I was a rapper, but I wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
I was about $130, soaking wet. I had
Mm-hmm.
nappy cornrows. I had braces. And somewhere around my early 20s, I started working out. I got up to
Ooh.
about 220 pounds, looking like I'm somebody starting safety. Man, I became a personal trainer. I learned how to dress for my body type. I started enrolling in different
Mm-hmm.
classes. My world expanded, and women became naturally attracted to that. And that
Absolutely.
attention, man,
Mm-hmm.
it fuels you in a way that's indescribable. And one thing about social media is, in the world, women's voices aren't very well
Right.
represented. You don't get to
Right.
hear women's voices. They get
Right.
stepped on, they get suppressed. Women have a very large presence on social media. And when they talk about manhood and masculinity, that's great, but it comes from a woman's perspective, which is
Mm-hmm.
not a lived experience. So it's one thing to say, hey, man, you should just be able to cut off wanting all those women and wanting all those different experiences. But it's another thing when that has been a part of your identity for so long, and now you're getting older, and now you got to start
Yeah.
settling in a little bit. And the narrative is that you're supposed to do the one person thing, but that's not your
Right.
reality on the inside, and you got to contend with that. So much like you, man, I had to figure out what made
Right.
me feel validated. What made me feel validated as a man? And luckily for me, the transfer of energy was delving into my therapy
Okay.
practice, delving into the community, investing in other people, finding out hobbies and things that I like to do, things that help me expand. Because if you married and you're in the house and you have these kids and you have those thoughts, they in the wrong situation, they'll
Bruh.
convert to action, and then that's something that you
Bruh.
can't walk back over
Bruh. Let
first.
me tell
You
you something,
did.
bro. This should gonna be crazy, right? But I have dudes ask me, how are you faithful? Right? All the time. And then,
All the time. That was the number one
how are
question
you
in my
faithful,
DMs
right?
when they found out I
And
was talking to
I'm
you.
gonna be honest, bro.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
You won't be able to be faithful unless you find peace within yourself, right? So if you're constantly looking
Absolutely.
for peace, right? Money won't bring you peace. Friends won't bring you peace. So then it's like, well, if I'm chasing girls and I can just say, well, I get bitches. That's gonna be my confidence. That's gonna be my bravado. That too will fail over time. But what you said just now is exactly what it is. I learned to pour into other people, and that became my peace, because I started to realize God gives us gifts to share to everyone else. If I utilize my gifts only for what I gain, I will never find peace for myself. But when I use my gifts to share with the entire world and to make sure other people are good, that's how you can help your confidence. And you're not doing it for any other reason other than the fact that I want people to feel better about themselves. I want people to have a greater opportunity. So it don't matter what your ministry is. For you, it's therapy, right? For me, it was exercise physiology and kinesiology, right? I wanted to help athletes become better. I wanted to mentor young men and women to be better athletes. When I started to pour into my community, my confidence went through the roof, and I no longer felt like I had to find a purpose chasing girls. You see what I'm saying? So it's like I find so much peace and happiness in doing other things, that now I can fully accept that, okay, if my wife ain't in the mood, I'm good. That don't mean I can move on. I'm not less than a man,
right.
because my wife ain't in the mood. It's hard for a lot of dudes who haven't found themselves yet to have their girl tell them they're not in the mood, because then it's like, what you mean you're not in the mood? Is it me? You know what I'm saying? Then you start. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
What
how
you mean?
dare
Oh, it's not me. Fine, I'll go to somebody else, and I can have them. I'll show you that when that's your purpose, you ain't gonna never want to be monogamous or be faithful, because now you're relying on other people to give you that peace. So,
yeah. Any piece that motivates you that comes from the outside, it's never going to last very long. It has to be internal. But I want to be very clear on something while we're saying these things. It's not easy. I think the conversation I have about staying faithful sounds different in mixed audience than it does when I'm talking to just men. Because I always say, figure out your relationship to the vajay. What's your
right,
relationship with the vajay? Like, what does it do for you? Does it make you feel like a
right,
god when you're in there? Does it remind you that you're worth something? What is the underlying, like, what's
yeah,
your relationship? Because it's never just the pure pleasure that you're chasing. It's never just the physical part of it. It's always something else behind that. And one of my homies, man, transparently, he was like, man, I got a girl. So, man, I'm trying to stop cheating on her, man, but it's hard. And another one of my homies who just recently got divorced, he was like, if you ever want to stop cheating, take away your options. Delete all the numbers out your phone. Put yourself in a situation where you can't do the
true,
wrong thing. And I was like, dang. And some people will say, well, you shouldn't have to do all that. And I think that my argument is, your shouldn't is a
right,
marker of what you
right,
believe and what you're capable of. That don't speak to what's going on with this individual. And everybody road to being a man who is 100% invested in his family, don't got eyes outside, because getting married ain't never made no dude less big, ever.
right.
Ever. They
No,
don't
they stay
disappear when
there.
you
They
get
stay
one of
there.
these.
They look just as good. Sometimes they even look better. But something you said hit me though. It's not so much about what you're chasing, it's what you're running from, right? So you're not just chasing booty. You're running from something, and the booty is escapism. That allows me to not think about what I'm actually running from. So it's like, let me fix myself so that I don't have to
Absolutely.
constantly chase that. And here's the thing though, that's not only a man thing. Women go through the same thing. Women oftentimes are constantly chasing affirmation from men because they're running from something in their past or something that's deep in them. So it's like, I'm gonna need this man to affirm that I am good or I am great. And that's why it's not like a man or woman thing. It's a person thing. You have to constantly work on healing yourself and fixing yourself so you're not chasing something to escape whatever it is that's behind you. And I think that for me is when men ask me like, how am I able to remain faithful? Because they always be like, you your wife is bad, and I'm like, listen. But you show me a bad chick, I'll show you a dude that's tired of fucking her. That's just the truth. You show me a handsome man, I'll show you a woman that's tired of fucking him. Like, there's no visually appealing person in the world that will make other people stop wanting to have sex with other people. That just doesn't happen. You know what I'm saying?
It's such a delusion. People actually believe that that's a thing.
I know. It's funny. It's funny.
I'm dead
ass
serious, bro.
There's nobody you ever gonna meet that people gonna say, you know what, she or he is so fine that I don't ever want to be with nobody else. Like, that's just never gonna happen. Never. It's never gonna happen. You have to fix yourself. What up?
Hey, DEVALE, you just take it off and throw it in the Raptors. Like, I don't need it no more.
Bro, well, here's the funny thing too, though. I wasn't prepared to get married when I got married. Like people who listen to Dead Ass podcasts, I tell all the time, I got married when I was 27 and I was running from something. That's why I got married, right? Um, I was chasing the American dream because I was looking for validation about who I was as a man. So it was like I graduated from school, I got me a bad chick, I'm making money, I bought a house, I got to get married because I have to prove to everybody around me that I'm successful. Because if I prove to everybody that I'm successful, that'll make me a man. Then you get married and you still have all of the same fears in your mind about not being man enough, and now you married, and now you're looking at this woman like, fuck, it's just me and you now.
Yep.
Oh my God. Like, what are we gonna do? Because everything I thought was gonna change when I got married didn't change because I ain't do no work on myself. You know what I'm saying? I didn't do no work on myself. And then I started to project and blame my wife for everything that was wrong with me. The reason why I'm looking at other women is because of you. The reason why I'm not making as much money is because of you. The reason why this ain't working out for my life is because of you. And it wasn't until I got old enough and mature enough to say, DeVale, you can't keep blaming everybody else for your problems, son. That I really actually start to make changes. And then I started to look and appreciate who my wife was. And here's the funny part. I wasn't the only one going through that. Kadeem was literally going through the same thing at 27, blaming me for everything that was wrong with her. Because a woman, like most women, feel like once I get married, I'm woman enough, right? Because once you're chosen by a man, that solidifies that I'm woman enough. And then she got in the marriage and was like, wait a minute, I still don't feel fulfilled in life. And then she's looking at me, and I'm looking at her, and we exactly. Well, what do we do now? I guess it's kids. Solidify it. Kids and the shit get even more fucked up.
Yeah, it get crazy. Kids turn your relationship on its head, man. And I'm glad you spoke to that because I'm on this crusade against this narrative that women get. I feel so bad for women now that I'm in this space. I'm on this crusade against this bullshit narrative that women get fed about, gotta have a house, gotta have a man, gotta have a kid. And it's wrapped in so much fantasy that it makes absolutely no sense. And there are people that profit off of women's insecurities and feed them this narrative further that you're nothing without a man. And if you're single, they treat being single like being cancer when they talk to women.
Right. Yeah.
And to me, that just devalues you as a person. I don't know how you hear that, and if that's not your reality, you don't feel less than. And then you go to pages like mine and yours, and you see the big smiling family with the nice clothes and the good teeth, and it further makes you feel like less than. And it's all built on a lie. It's all built on a lie that you deserve these things that someone somehow made up somewhere. They don't exist in all relationships. The guy that's going to come and fly you out to Paris like Mr. Big on Sex in the City. Like people be regular ass people,
from, right? Where does that come from? That comes from misogyny, and that comes from control, right? If I wanted to control a group of people, right? The easiest way to control a group of people is by telling them they need me to feel validated. So if you constantly push the narrative that women, you need a man to feel validated, women are gonna feel broken until they find a man that quote unquote makes them feel complete. Then they get into these relationships, and it's like, this nigga don't make me feel complete. I don't know what's going on. And then men will start to go, oh, you ungrateful, all these things I do to you. But here's even what's even more despicable. The same narrative is pushed on men, but in a different way. So now it's like because it's like this.
How so?
You need women, we're taught, you as a man need women to validate you as your manhood, right? But it's not find one woman to choose you. Find as many women as possible. So we're exactly. So we're
that's the difference.
Men to look for as many women as possible, but then we're teaching the same women that you should only be with one man and he has to choose you. And then these two people meet as young adults and try to build their life together with two completely different mindsets. It doesn't make any sense and it never works. You feel me? And that's
never works.
And
never works.
That's why there's so many. No, that's why there's so many broken people, because we constantly listen to stuff, especially on social media, Because for us, there was no social media growing up. There was rap videos and movies, right? So we had Disney and we had Uncle Luke. So if you had Disney, Disney was telling all the girls, wait for Prince Charming to come and save your life, right? But then Uncle Luke was out here like, fuck these hoes, fuck these hoes.
Don't stop, bust it open.
So then we all grow up, and now we're in our 20s, and these young ladies are looking for men to come save them and choose them, and the dude's just like, nah, I'm trying to fuck as many bitches as possible, and you're trying to work in the same relationship with two different mindsets. Like, that's why it's despicable. It's despicable, bro.
I agree. And on one side, you have basically like patriarchy having its tentacles firmly around women, and on the other side, there's a piece of internalized misogyny that a lot of women have ingested over a long period of time, where in their own individual groups they reinforce those ideas that you're nothing without the man, you're nothing without this, and in turn, people stay in relationships that not only aren't working for them, DeVale, but that are constantly eating away at them because they figure being in a bad relationship is better than not being in one at all.
Well, that's deep. That's deep. Because if you're in a bad relationship, at least someone chose me. So if I got chosen.
Exactly, I got chosen.
Mistreat me, but at least I got chosen. She may be toxic, but at least she's one of my hoes. You know what I'm saying? Think about how sick we have to be as people to not try to find ourselves first before we enter into a relationship and be healthy in a healthy mindset. Like, that's a sickness, because I was sick when I entered into my marriage. I had no clue who DeVale was, and I was expecting Kadeen to fix that. And that was wrong of me. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was completely wrong of me. And Kadeen was just as wrong, because we talked about this on the podcast. I said, Kadeen, when you thought about marriage, what were you thinking about? She said, I didn't think about marriage. I was thinking about the wedding. And I was like, wow. So you were thinking about the wedding, because she's like, yeah, I wanted the white dress. I wanted the fancy wedding. I wanted the platinum wedding. I wanted all these things. And she admitted she never thought about what it meant to actually be a wife. So I'm like, wow, we were both sick coming into this relationship. And then we kept spreading the sickness to each other.
Man.
We kept spreading the sickness to each other in our relationship. And here's the funniest part. While spreading the sickness to each other, we were taking beautiful pictures and posting on social media. And everyone was saying,
oh, of course. Of course.
You see what I'm
Black
saying?
love goals. This is if my man ain't like this, I ain't want it.
It's all like, seriously, it's all fake. Like, you can't seek validation from anywhere outside of yourself, bro. You have to find it inside.
Yeah, especially not as the primary voice. Absolutely. And we had an episode of our YouTube sit down talk where I said I'm a love skeptic, and people got mad. And it's not that I don't believe in love. I just don't believe in people's idea of love. I think people believe that someone is supposed to come in and heal all the little parts inside of them. Somebody's supposed to come in and complete them. Somebody's supposed to come in and love them in a way that's going to allow them to love themselves. And I think that is a completely unrealistic expectation for a romantic partner. And then that gets reinforced by people, we got the Gucci purse, buy me a Gucci purse population. We got the men should pay 100% of the bills population. We got the women don't need men population. And all of these little groups and pockets have their own ideas. And I always wonder, if a man wanted to be a better husband, I can click on my computer right here and I come up with 5 billion articles that are telling men how to be a husband. Unfortunately, if I want to be a better wife, if I want to find out how to be more emotionally supportive to my husband, if I want to find out how to deal with my stuff so that I'm not prioritizing myself and centering myself as a woman in a relationship, if I want to find out how to not bring all of my stuff from the past into what's currently going on and misusing this bond that I'm creating, where do I go? Those resources for women don't exist in the same capacity, DeVale. And that's I don't like that for them, man.
Because of the same false narratives we talked about, right? If you look at Hollywood, you look at anything, women are the fixers, right? Men come into relationships broken, and this woman fixed me. That's all they ever preach. These men are broken. These men are broken. This woman
Right.
fixed me. But then there are women who are dealing with so many traumas throughout their life that they don't even feel a space that they can be fixed, or they need to work on it. It's just deal with everything I bring to the table. And if
Mm-hmm.
you're man enough, you'll learn how to deal with it. It's not fair to either party. It's not fair to
Mm-hmm.
men, and it's not fair to women.
Mm-hmm.
And the truth of the matter is, there's not many conversations like this, right? How many black men get on the phone with their homeboy or get on a live and be vulnerable about how they feel? Not many. You want to know why? Because people don't want to be made fun of. People don't want to be a meme. This is the truth, Kier, and I'm gonna be
Mm-hmm.
honest with you. People ask me all the time, like, how are you so vulnerable about how you feel? That's because I don't give a fuck, bro. Like, I stopped giving a fuck about what people thought about me a long time ago. Because the more I gave a fuck about what people thought about me, the more I tried to change who I was, and I lost myself. I lost myself trying to be somebody else for other people, and those people don't matter, because the internet is filled with the loud minority. Most of the people, yeah, you know it,
Oh man.
you know it.
Yes.
The
The
vocal,
vocal minority, they're very loud and they look like there's so many people, but
no,
they're not
it's
that
not.
many
It's just the
people.
echo chamber of the same memes and the same articles that get circulated over and over and over again that validate falsities. For example,
Mm-hmm.
there's this big thing: black men don't support and don't love black women. But if you look at the census, 80% of black men who are married to black women. Then here's this other falsity. Well, when he starts to make real money, then he'll get a white girl. He'll marry somebody else. Well, if you look at the higher rate, right, people who make over 200,000, which is the 3% of the population, it goes from 80% of black men marry black women to 87% of black men who are making over 200,000 are married to black women. So where does this fallacy come from that black men don't love and support black women? Where does it come from that black women hate and don't respect black men? It ain't real. It's the loud minority over the internet and over
Yeah.
television all the time. That's why I stopped giving a fuck about what people think, bro.
That's interesting.
I stopped giving. Mm,
That's interesting, man. That's interesting. You make a really good point, and I contend my wife and I have this back and forth, the
mm,
men and women, Tom and Jerry, cat and
mm,
mouse conversation all the time, and sometimes we agree,
mm,
right, and sometimes we don't, but we always get some good thoughts out of it. And that's something I contend with the black men don't love and protect black women, because on one side, I do understand what they mean by that. And when I hear that, I don't always hear that. I try not to hear all black men don't protect all black women. I try to also hear when I needed it most, I didn't
right,
have a black man to protect
right.
me. Somebody speaking from an individual. And then on the other side, it's like, yo, I'm surrounded by all of these black men who are going out of their way for their
Talk
families and
about
their
it.
communities and their wives and their children
Talk
and their
about it.
mamas. And it's like, are you kidding me? Like, I don't think anybody has ever left my house and not
Mm-hmm.
been walked to their car. I don't think we've ever had a kickback at anybody's house and all the dads ain't start cleaning up afterwards. So it's like this weird balance where I don't want to make the mistake of thinking that the world around me is the
That's
way that
true.
the world looks for
That's
everybody, because
true.
that's not true. But on the same token, dog, I it has to be a point where I stand up and say, hey, like, I get it that this perspective is a very prominent perspective, but there's another perspective here that needs to be talked about and that deserves some attention. It's not as popular. The brothers ain't shit culture is a very loud wave that there's no oppositional voice toward that. And the men that do have
Mm-hmm.
platforms, the men that do have podcasts, the men that do have an opportunity to kind of turn that on its head, they sometimes go in a different direction where women
Mm-hmm.
feel ostracized by what they're saying. They don't feel
Mm-hmm.
invited into the conversation to get anything meaningful out of it.
I
So
mean,
it's weird, man.
it's
It's
weird, but I mean,
weird.
it's also part of entertainment, right? Like, it's part of entertaining. What's entertaining? Watching people fight,
Mm.
right? Social media started to grow. I'll never forget. It was 2005. I was in college. This website called eBombs World. eBombs World was, but you remember, right? It
Oh, I
was
remember
popping.
E-Bomb's
It was
World.
popping because they were putting up
Yeah.
fight videos. Now, eBombs World had been around before that, and
Mm-hmm.
nobody was watching the funny videos. Nobody was watching all of the cutesy dog videos. But when people started putting fight videos up there, it started to get a little bit more traction. What I'm starting to realize is the way the human mind works, right? social media is like a car crash, right? No one wants to be in a car crash, but when we driving by a car crash, we all slow down and look, right? So it's
Rubbernecking,
easier
baby.
to
Yep.
share a meme and get more likes or get more people to interact or more engagement when you're bashing somebody than you're praising somebody, because praise doesn't get shared as fast. So if you're a young content creator and you're looking to go viral, it's easy to go viral saying something controversial instead of saying something real. You see what I'm saying? Let me just say the most outlandish shit that people will share as opposed to me speaking my truth or my reality. You see what I'm saying? And I think for
Yeah, you're
black
right.
men, especially in this day and age, social media has become a huge part of our lives, and it's affecting our masculinity. Because I hear so many young black men will point out to me like, man, I can't fuck with black women because look what they saying on Twitter. And I'm like, dude, your example of black women that you're using is Twitter. Your mom is black. Your aunt is black. Your grandmother's black. Your friends are black. None of those women that you have respect for. Yeah, but that's just them. No, bro, that's real life. Stop utilizing social media to
Yeah.
validate your masculinity or lack thereof. You don't get to have poor behavior or behave poorly towards women because social media is validating your behavior. Social media is not real. And I think a lot of men, if they would just try to focus on what's real, what's in front of them, you know what I'm saying? Trying to speak to people who have these conversations. Because you and I had this conversation when we were at the Dear Fathers, not Dear Fathers, the Dope Dads, the Dad Gang joint. You know what I'm saying? Like
Dad gang
we
joint.
have real
Yeah.
conversations that are not for open ears. I think more men who want to explore true masculinity need to speak to other men and have those conversations in person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree. We kind of like like that video with the dogs. It's a gate separating the dogs, and they just barking at each other. They barking, getting aggressive, and the gate disappears, and then they just kind of like, "Oh, I'm right here with you, man.
Right.
Hey, buddy." And that's what we do. Social media gives us that gate. We can buck at you and feel a little bit more aggressive. Being in a car, you tell people, "Man, move out the way." Ain't nobody talking to you like that on the street when you walking. When it's not 4,000 pounds of steel to separate you from
That's
getting
true,
beat
bro.
up.
That's true. That's true.
So it's a different thing. Yeah. People, the human mind is funny. We're coming towards the end of the live. I do want to ask one final question, man.
I know.
You know, man, you can talk. So let's get this
Okay.
drain a condensed version. We can talk, boy. This is such a great conversation, man.
No,
I
I
appreciate
you,
you,
bro, and I
real
love
live.
you, bro. I
This is
want to say
great,
this on
man.
the live. We said this on our podcast, Deadass Podcast. No homo, no pause.
Yeah.
I don't gotta say that. I love you, bro. Like I just love you. That's just it. And not for nothing, I love what you do because there's not a lot of positive black men on social media pushing positivity and not just resorting to negativity to get shares. You've been the same way since I first saw you. You never wavered. You never decided, let me just be controversial and say some wild shit. No, you continue to put forth this narrative, and we need to see it because there are young brothers watching. They may not say it, but they watching, and I love you, bro. So just, and I don't got to say no homo. I don't got to say pause. I love you, bro. That's just it.
Hey, I don't do the no homo and pause or none of that, man. I love you too, dog, and I love what you put out. I remember when I first saw your video when the kids were little, throwing up, pooping everywhere. You was trying to get ready. I saw that video and I was like, damn. I wonder if I'll ever be a father like that one day. I didn't have any kids at the time, and I think you had two. So to see you go from that to this and all the opportunities that are coming your way, and the fact that you're so big just by being yourself. Like you too, man. You consistent. You the same person in person that you are in your videos, and you're the same person in your videos that you've been when I first discovered you. And I always say when someone can consistently keep up character, that's exactly who they are. So man, I appreciate you too, man. We got a joke in therapy about men, especially black men. It's not a joke, but it's like a reoccurring thing. Good luck getting a black man in therapy to admit that his mom could have been a better person. He'll shit on his dad all day. He'll talk about his dad ain't shit. He'll talk about he ain't never do nothing for us. But I mean, you can literally have like just the textbook worst mother, the mother from hell. Good luck getting him to ever admit that. And I got a theory, especially in the black community, there's this weird pedestalization that we do of women where it's like, shh, we're not going to support them in any of the ways that are meaningful, but we don't talk bad about them in public. We don't talk bad about our mamas. And there's a lot of black men and their moms. I'm very careful about that conversation. It's starting to bubble to the surface. I don't think the large majority is mature enough for that, specifically because of the way that black women are talked to and talked about. It's very hard to have that conversation, how hard motherhood is and how misunderstood black men are in the context of emotions. So I'm careful with that. That's not a blame game. That's a conversation. But I do want to talk about your relationship to your mom, because my mom shaped the man that I am. My mom taught me everything I know about women. My mom really set me up on this journey to be the person that I am in this moment. Like, who growing up, what did your mom represent to you? What did that relationship mean?
This is what's crazy. Full transparency, my mom didn't grow up with the best father. My grandfather wasn't there. So my grandmother raised my mom to be super independent and strong. And my mom was very deliberate about making sure that my brother and I were chivalrous, respectful of women, independent, but also my mother didn't overly love us. You know how some people will be like, my mom coddles me, my mom made my bed, my mom washed my clothes. My mom was like, nah, you doing that shit yourself, because I'm not raising no punk ass boy. Like that's my mom. My mom is from the projects. My grandmother raised them. My uncle is a detective. Like my grandmother raised some beasts. So my mom raised some beasts. My mother don't play about education, but my mother taught me how to be empathetic to all people. Like if anybody who knows my mom says, "Oh, I know Karen. She's the sweetest person." My mother has the biggest heart. My mother will take the shoes off her feet and give them to anybody. And it don't matter how much money that person may have or not have. If she sees you need something, that's how my mom is. And my mom raised me to be the same way. My mom also was blessed to marry my dad, who's a fucking dope individual. My father was raised in a two-family home where my grandfather was a dope individual, and they believed in chivalry. They believed in respecting women. They believe in household. They believe in community. So collectively, my mother and my father created this person you see right now is my dad and my grandfather and my brother if they had social media in the 60s and 70s. I when people say to me, "Oh, you're a special type of black man," no, I'm not. I am my father. I am my grandfather, and I am this way because my mother made sure I grew up to be as close to my father as possible. My mother did that.
Man. So I didn't grow up with my dad. I only grew up with my mom and my grandma helped raise me. And one of the things, people DM me all the time talking about Noemi. Oh, Noemi is so lucky. Noemi is so lucky. I'm like, y'all need to talk to Noemi and ask her how she manages our relationship, because she does a lot. And one thing that Noemi does is she'll do something like she'll whisper in my daughter's ear, like, "Hey, go give daddy a hug and a kiss and tell him you love him." Or it's so good. Or she'll be like, we're going to do something really special for daddy today, okay? And she'll work on an art project and they'll give it to me together. Or, she encourages my daughter to interact with me in a way that's surrounded by love, because that's what her mom did for her dad. That's what she's used to seeing in her home. And I think that's really beautiful, and it reminded me of kind of what you said there. My situation is a little different. I just finished watching. Have you watched the Kanye West documentary yet? You remember the second part when you met Donda West?
Kanye is Donda.
And
she spoke so much power into that man, bro.
You hear?
She spoke so, bro. It's funny you say that, because when in my ministry, when I was doing prototyping and helping mentor so many young men, I used to have conversations with single moms. And I used to say to them, I say, miss, because I don't want to say no names. I say, miss, you do realize what you pouring into your son, he's going to treat someone's daughter that way. Like all of the things that you're saying to him, he's going to believe in himself. I've heard so many women telling their sons, you ain't shit, you ain't never going to be shit, you just like your father. And I watch the light go out of those kids' eyes and they don't believe anything. But then I do got some moms who it don't matter what happened. A coach messed something up. The mom to pull him over. Come here. Don't listen to what that motherfucker say. you know you great, right? So don't quit. You go
Mm-hmm.
back in there and you keep going.
Mm-hmm.
And those kids, when those moms spoke like that, them kids ended up being great. And it wasn't just sports. They flourish in every
Flourish.
aspect of life.
Mm-hmm.
The world needs more Dondas. And I ain't gonna lie,
Mm-hmm.
the world needs more Karen Ellises,
Absolutely.
because my mom told me I can do anything I wanted in my life. Part of the reason why you see this dreamer DeVale who goes out here and played in the NFL, walked on to college, started my business, because my mom not only supported me emotionally and spoke power. Every event I had, my mom was there. When I had registration for my gym, my mom was taking
Mm-hmm.
registration. My first red carpet, my mom was there. My first football game when I was terrible, never played football before, my mom was there. And that just made me realize, like, yo, I can do whatever. My mother believed in me. So, bro, you know, man, now you making me, I'm about to cry thinking about my mom, because my mom is just so fucking dope. And she picked a dope husband. Like, my pops, and no bullshit. My parents are not perfect. My parents are not perfect. Um, they have their issues they deal with. I have my issues with them from parenting, you know, because
Of course.
they parented me
Of
differently than I parent my
course.
kids. But my parents are fucking dope, bro. Like, even to this day, my dad called me yesterday, just be like, "Hey, bro, I love you, bro." Like, that's my pops, and my mom's called me today. It was like, "Hey, I want you." Like, nah, you about to make me cry, bro. Like, thinking about my parents, because as you get older, you don't think about your parents. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm thinking about my kids and my wife. But oh man, you
Mm-hmm.
must have made me call my mom, bro. Ah, care, bro. You have no idea, son. This
Call
shit
her,
is kind of
bro.
making me like I'm thinking about growing up and why I am the way I am. My parents was fire, son.
Mm-hmm.
Like my parents, care. If I told my parents I was gonna go to the moon, you know what my parents would be? On the moon. They be on the moon waiting.
What's up?
They be on the moon waiting, talking about some let's go. Like, you say you coming, we already here waiting for you. Like, and that just gives me more strength right now to be that for my kids, bro. Oh my God, bro.
You're already there for your kids, man. You said you need more Karen Ellis's, and you need more
Hell
Kadeem
yeah.
Ellis's too, because you're living the life. I know you see it, but it's different. I'm watching your life like I'm watching TV, dog. And you know our audiences, they see our lives from a different perspective. The way that y'all
That
parent
means a
those
lot,
kids,
bro.
man, that shit's special, bro. You don't have that many followers for no reason. People don't have that in their lives. And from what you tell me about your mom, that's some beautiful trickle down generational love right there. That permeates, that
Yo, let me
bleeds through
tell you, you
pages,
gotta
bro.
meet my aunts. They talk about a village. You gotta meet my grandmother. Oh my, oh man, my grandmother Della, she's dealing with Alzheimer's, so she's not the same as she was. But my grandmother
Mm-hmm.
Della was, oh man, she was amazing. My grandma Barbara, my nanny, she's fucking amazing. My aunts, like, I come from a village of strong, powerful black women, bro. And I ain't gonna lie, I come from a village of
Mm-hmm.
strong
Same.
black men. Like my Uncle Kevin, my pops, my
Mm-hmm.
grandfather. Oh my gosh, my Uncle Frank. I can go down the list. Like, this is not an accident that I am the way I am. I am a reflection of all of them. My Aunt Monique, like, I don't understand this thought process where they say black men don't support black women and black women don't support. That's all I saw growing up. That's all I saw. That's all I saw from different
Mm-hmm.
avenues of my life. So when people talk about that, I can't see it. Like, I can't see it. Like, I just know so many dope people. Oh, my bad. Hold on, give me 1 second. I'm here. You got me lost here. I forgot my son. Here I am being a bad dad. My bad. Y'all done? Were y'all playing 1-on-1?
Nah.
Oh, my bad. I apologize.
I love how it goes from the deepness of the
Thank you so
conversation
much.
to his
I'm
to
actually
his
on the
job
phone.
being the dad.
I'm on the phone. You
But
ready to go? All right, come on. You can jump in the car. Thank you so much. What's up? I see you. Thank you so much. First of all, another example of a dope black mom. Look, taking care of my son when I'm not there, she had him the whole time. Like, this is when we talk about a village. We talk about a
that's
village,
beautiful, man. I know. That's the real life. That's what doesn't get shown on Twitter,
bro.
the echo chamber, the funnel of angriness. You don't get to see that because that's an interaction that, that's everyday
Son,
life. That's not somebody
right?
popping out to click the glitz and the fireworks. Man, it was so beautiful what you just shared, man. because I think a lot of times when people see folks like you or they see folks like me, they believe that we don't stand on the shoulders
Facts.
of the people that came
Facts.
before us
Facts.
and the people who built us, the people who
Facts.
made us
Like,
who we are.
oh my gosh, here at some point I want to bring my whole family on Instagram so people could see that DEVALE is not an anomaly. I'm really not. Like, there's a whole bunch of dope black men in my family. My aunts are all dope black women. Like, we are as a community of people, bro. All of us, and I'm pretty sure you got the same thing on your side, yo. I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Absolutely. My family has really helped shape me into the person that I am now. My mom, I remember when I was 8 years old, and I was in the neighborhood and somebody was talking about periods, man. It's about menstrual cycle. I was 8. I ain't know what none of that was. And I walked in the house and I told my mom, and she said, "What did you just say?" And I was like, "Yeah, they said this is what happens." So this woman broke out a piece of paper and a pencil and started drawing fallopian tubes, bro.
So
When
you
I
can
was 7,
understand.
8 years old. And that's just, yeah, she was real big on me understanding and being independent, being my own person, being comfortable in my own skin. She used to make me get up on tables when I was 2 and 3 years old and
Look,
recite poems or
look,
spell words
and
like
look at you
Mississippi and
now.
encyclopedia.
And look at you now.
It all it bleeds down, bro. We really are an amalgamation of what the people who loved us most poured into us, especially the women that loved us and the men who were part of that community, who, even if they didn't see themselves in us, still decided that we were special enough to take the time
That's
out to
facts,
love,
bro.
you know?
That's facts. But that's why you're a therapist. You got me all in my feelings, bro. Shit. But I'm gonna tell you like this. I don't be giving a shit. I don't care if you make a meme about me crying. I don't give a fuck, man. This is who I am. Like, I just don't care. Like, I enjoy my life. I want to share it. I enjoy having conversations with good people. Care, bro. I appreciate you, bro. I do.
Hey, I appreciate you too, bro. I feel like 50 pounds lighter after having this conversation with you. I don't know I don't know what apps were in the background of my mind, but I'm pretty sure I done canceled them joints out. I'm gonna sit on this conversation for a little bit because it was so much here, man. You gave me so much brilliant perspective. Is there anything that you got upcoming that you want to share with the audience? You want them to
Shoot,
check
not right
out?
now. I think we're on hiatus for Sistas. We don't come back to the end of June. Check out Deadass Podcast every Wednesday on iHeartRadio. That's with me and my beautiful wife, Kadeen. Her Instagram is Kadeen I am. I want to shout out. I just take this time to shout out my family. I love y'all. Like my Aunt Debbie, my Uncle Lee, my Aunt Monique, my Uncle Dan, my Aunt Chotty, my Uncle Kevin, Nana, Nanny, Papa John, Papa. I love all y'all, man. Y'all are the reason why I am the way I am. And this is just like a moment of like just realizing like I owe them a lot, and most importantly my parents, Karen, Troy. I love y'all so much, man. I love y'all, man. And Kip, thank you, bro.
Man, yeah, absolutely. I just gonna say I'll push back, man. I don't. I think you're paying them back with the life that you're living now, man. I think this is cash in their pockets to see you live this beautiful life, and these 4 boys are going to live beautiful lives, and they're going to have children who are going to live beautiful lives because that love permeates and bleeds through the pages, bro. It's amazing.
Thanks,
Really
thanks. I
happy
hope
for
before
you,
I get on, I
man.
gotta shout out
Legit.
this one person Woo Honey Child. She's been following me since before I had 5,000 followers. She always supports. I see her down there in the comments. I want to say, Woo Honey Child. I want to
Woo,
say,
honey
Mama,
child.
I may not respond to everything, but I see it, and I love you. I love your consistency, and thank you for always supporting me and all the boys. You was there before we had boys, so I appreciate you.
Class act, Mr. Ellis. Class act, you are. I'm gonna hit you up offline. We're gonna be down there probably
Let's
when the
get up.
weather breaks. So we gotta get
Let's
the
get up,
kids,
bro.
family, and all that together. Yeah, you already know. Ladies and gentlemen, DEVALE Ellis. We're both about to break
Yes,
and take
sir.
care of our respective families.
Yes,
Hope
sir.
y'all enjoyed this conversation. If check out the Job Well Done Instagram Live. We do these once a month. And make sure you go and follow DEVALE. Amazing family, amazing guy, brilliant perspective. You definitely get something valuable out of his page. Hey, DEVALE,
I
I'm gonna hit
appreciate you,
you up
bro. I love you,
offline, my
man.
boy. All right,
Peace.
love you too, bro. Talk to you later.